of my bread and butter commercial work involves taking photographs of spaces, and I have to make them look kind of shiny and crisp and lovely and bright. And I have a kind of a method that I use to do this. If you've got my preset pack, that's basically what I use my architecture preset for. I'll put a link in the description if you want to have a look at those. But today I wanted to kind of step away from that and look at taking photographs of spaces in a different way and looking to kind of evoke an atmosphere and not necessarily showcase everything that's in the space, but create a real sense of feeling within the space. So for these photos, I'm going to go down into an abandoned tube station. There's an old one at Euston that's been shut off from the public since the 1960s, and it's kind of just been sort of left as it is, just old corridors and passageways that haven't really been touched and have sort of preserved in time. Abandoned tube stations are often known as ghost stations, and I love that kind of atmosphere that that word brings. So I want to create a kind of creepy, very atmospheric feeling to the photos. I'm going to be very limited in what I can carry down there gear wise, so I'm going to take a flash, but I'm going to be pretty much at the mercy of how it's sort of lit down there. I won't be able to take big lighting modifiers or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rely a lot on long exposures. So I'm going to take a camera, a few lenses, a tripod, a flash. That's pretty much it. So let's go. See you later.
Bye.
There's currently no Metropolitan line service between all gates and Wembley Park in both directions.
The Met line was down, so it took me ages to get here. That's irony for you. I have to try and find this disused entrance now. I think that's it over there. You get all these old posters that they sort of peeled off, revealing posters from history, kind of going back as you get further and further back. These little vignettes of history kind of make these unintentional collages. You come across these bits that are just sort of concreted off. You're just walking up these steps and then you've just got a big wall of concrete that just filled in. Taking pictures of this old ticket office. And we're not allowed to use radio triggers down here, so I'm going to try and take a long exposure of that and run in and flash the flash and see if I can get a kind of light coming out of this space here. See how it goes. So cool down here. It's a bit creepy actually. So I'm in a tunnel just above the Victoria line at the moment. I'm just doing a long exposure of this bit down here. I love the symmetry of the tube tunnels. They're literally a tube. That's how they make them. Distributes the weight evenly. Good for trains. I'm back home now. Really enjoyed that. The history is interesting, but just the atmosphere down there is incredible. Just that sense of history, and I don't know, I just love the tube. You may have noticed if you watch my other videos with all my stuff on my wall and even my tube cover cushions. I've selected some of the shots here and I thought we'd run through what I'm going to do to these. So let's start with this one. Let's hop into the develop module. It was a long exposure, 30 seconds at f22. So pretty much everything's in focus here. Now, if I were doing this for a client, I'd use my architecture preset and I'd probably make it nice and bright and just to sort of showcase all the details, but that don't do much for me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Ectar 100 preset, and I'm going to pull the exposure down to about there. So you get this kind of silhouetted look here. I'm going to pull the temperature to be a bit cooler, somewhere around there. So I quite like that. I find that quite evocative on its own. So let's stick with that as it is there. So let's look at this one, the next one. So if I were to use an architecture preset, very sharp, everything in focus again, but I think what I'm going to do is going to go for something a bit more filmic. My Ectar one again, which is, you know, probably my favourite one. I use it all the time. You can download these presets, by the way. I'll put a link in the description. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pull the exposure down a bit, but I'm also going to put a vignette on. I'm going to do this by using radial filter. I'm going to put it to about there, and I'm going to pull the exposure down to about there. I'm going to do another radial filter actually. Let's have a look at this. I'm going to invert this one, and I'm going to pull the dehaze down to actually give it some haze. So I've got a slightly kind of dusty, hazy, foggy look there. You know, so if we were to reset that, it looks quite different from that. So next let's have a look at this one. This was a very, very dark area. I actually had a torch back here. This is what's providing the light. See the shadow from the camera here. This was a long exposure again, 25 seconds at f8 on the 1635. What I want to do though is to create a complete bit of darkness where this wall is, where the steps go, to create like this look of these steps going up to nothing. Pull the exposure down. I'm going to use again my Ectar preset because it just works the best for me. Way too blue, looks like you're underwater. Okay, let's go for about there. And now what I'm going to do, use an inverted mask. I'm just going to create this darkness that this corridor goes off to here. And then I'm going to do the same again, but I'm going to, this will be outside here. So we create this almost like a ring of light around here. I'll remove that camera as well, the shadow of that camera. Can I do it with this? I might be able to do it with this, or I might need to hop into Photoshop. I'm having a bit of trouble with that green bit there, but we'll leave that for the minute. Again, very different from how that looks. Now the corridor, workers use this for storage, as you can see, just all down here. Again, if I were to do like an architecture, that's the kind of look I'd be going for. Bring it here, bring in some haze, bring in a bit of the softness and a bit of those filmy tones. Now, there's quite fluorescent yellow here. Again, I'm going to do that. I'm quite a fan of this sort of corridor venturing off into the unknown sort of look. Yeah, actually just do another one, but not inverted, just here. I'm going to take down some of the yellow. I find that a bit distracting, so let's go to colour. Just take down that a little bit. Yeah, that's working a bit better for me. Now the edges of this bothering me slightly. Let's put a bit of fisheye sort of distortion on it, that will help. Yeah, now this is not quite central. I'm just going to crop it in very slightly to about, maybe to about there. Let's have a look. That works better for me. So let's have a look. Not creepy. Creepy as hell. There we are, ghost station.
Don't you know now, butterflies all having fun. You know how I feel, all my sleeping peace when day is done. The world is a